Hello, Internet Earthlings. It's me, Kunda, again. I want to talk to you a little bit about why I fought my most recent speeding ticket in court, what was wrong with the entire process, and why, even though the process is more or less over, I still intend to fight it. So let's get into what actually happened. So, the place this happened is you're coming over a hill, down the other side, and basically at the bottom of that other side of the hill, it goes from being a 50-kilometer zone to an 80-kilometer zone. And right at the opposite side of that, there's a driveway, a very long driveway, with a very large hedge and a tree line. And there was an RCMP officer sitting there using a LiDAR gun, kind of pistol grip style, on top of the hedge with his unmarked police car much farther back, far out of sight. So the officer wasn't in plain view at all. But what ended up happening was I was following traffic. There was a big line of cars. There was at least four cars or four vehicles. One of us was actually like an 18 or like a semi truck kind of thing. And we came down over this hill. I don't believe we were speeding. I saw no evidence of it. I'll go more into that later. But the RCMP officer walked out into the middle of the street, bunching up traffic and kind of walking in between in between the cars dangerously, letting them go until he had got to my vehicle, kind of thing. That went pretty regularly. I wasn't looking for hassle. I didn't give him any trouble. He just processed me, let me go on my way, and I set a court date. So that original incident where I was ticketed, that all happened 2016. So I went in, I asked for my court date, they gave me papers with the court date, and on it circled, it said, call a month in advance, and they would send me my disclosure. So I studied my amateur ass off about that, and got ready to go in for my first court date. The court date ended up rolling around. I found that the disclosure was lacking a few things, like the calibration certificate, details about the actual device, proof that the officer was trained, that type of stuff. So during our court date one, I asked for additional disclosure, and they said they would send it to me and set another court date. I should probably have mentioned before this point that what I was actually charged with was going 73 kilometers per hour in a 50-kilometer zone. But like I said earlier, that was immediately before the transition to an 80-kilometer zone. So make of that whatever you want. So that original ticketing incident happened in 2016. These court dates happened in 2017 and maybe early 2018. But during that second court date, I had looked into the additional stuff that I was provided in the meantime, the calibration certificates, the stuff on my disclosure, which I had come to realize actually said both radar and LiDAR in different places. So I had two different devices that run off two completely separate types of technology to look into. So that was fun. Two big points of note here. That the first one is that I got a hold of the company that manufactures the LiDAR, and I found out that the LiDAR is technically capable of capturing a photo of any vehicle or any measurement. Anytime it does a speed measurement, it can take a photo and have evidence that that was the vehicle that was measured. But you need to have the software to do it, and it seems like our province decided not to buy the software. And as a result, I wasn't able to see photo evidence that I was actually even the car LiDAR. And so as far as I know, there's no real evidence that I was even speeding to begin with. The calibration certificate I got said that the LiDAR gun the calibration doesn't expire. And the other thing is that when I brought up to the judge all the inconsistencies in the paperwork, the most important one being the two different devices that were mentioned in it, the judge said that it was no big deal and basically just told the cop to correct himself and to send more paperwork, and she set another third court date. The third court date is pretty easy to talk about. It was the only of the 4 court dates that I had a different judge. It was a really busy court day, sat there all morning and then all afternoon, and then the judge said, "I'm sorry we didn't have time to get to you. I should have realized this morning," and told me to come back for a 4th court date. Then the 4th court date came. It was the one where the trial actually happened. It was a trial. I ended up being found guilty. The court ended up dropping some of the charge. The charge ended up being $190, and that's sort of where we're at now. Now, at the conclusion of the trial, I mentioned a section of the Motor Vehicle Act. It's 299B or something like that. It's up there in the 200s, 290 something. But it more or less says that if you have a traffic fine go into default, it can be paid by the equivalent of $50 for every day in jail. And I told the judge that's what I wanted to do, and she said something along the lines of, "I'm gonna give you time to think about this. I really don't want you to do it. Take some time and think about what you're doing." I stood there and was like, I've been thinking about this for a year, but I didn't press the issue, and maybe I should have. I brought up all of these little nitpicks and probably some more in court. It didn't do much good. I also have had lots of people I spoke with say that they think this is entrapment. I believe that in the States it would be seen that way, but I don't think Canada looks at it like that, but I could be wrong, and it kind of feels like that, even if it isn't technically that. But here's the whole point of this video. For those of you who don't know me, I am pretty broke, and I don't like the idea of paying for people to rob me. So I don't want to simply pay the fine after all of that silliness and all the things wrong with the actual stop, and especially with the court process and all of that. So I'm still planning to use this section of the Motor Vehicle Act to pay off my fine with time. So that's where I'm at. I don't know how it's going to go. I don't know how the system and the Crown or the judge, if I need to talk to them, are going to react. I really have no idea. So I want to keep you in the loop. I want to thank you for watching. You can subscribe to my channel if you want to keep up. And you can comment and rate the video whether you think I'm being stupid and should have just paid the fine and not wasted my own and everybody else's time, or whether you support me and think that I'm doing what I have a right to do. Either way, thanks for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope yeah.